Hey folks, Jonathan here. Decided to roll the car out and clean my mess up and get me a fresh start rolling it back. I do that quite often, believe it or not, because I'm such a messy worker. Stuff just gets, laying around the car, laying under the car, on the car, and everything else. And then a lot of times I'll get a rotation record call and I got to leave and I can't even pick stuff up. I got one yesterday, and lucky my son was here to help me get everything in the shop before it rained on it. So anyway, we're moving along and trying to just stand back and do some looking and see what we can do about a few changes. The body lines kind of, well, for lack of better words, suck on it. Of course, the doors don't match either, so we've got one body line here. We want them to sort of go into the quarter, and look decent. But the problem is if you do one side and you do the other side, they're not going to match the doors. So anyway, that's what happens when you're working with junk. And if I had more time, I could actually redo the doors and probably make the other door like this one. I kind of like that single body line, but anyway, it is what it is. It's the way it goes. There's not a whole lot we can do about it. We're going to try to blend it in and make it look decent. Now I've got the front section of the frame out from under it, but you can still see that rear section. But you see how this side is finished height-wise, so you can see how far down that was going to be sticking if I had left it, which wouldn't look good whatsoever. So you won't be able to see it with the other frame. And we've got to do our inner fender well and all that yet, and that'll make it look a lot better. But anyway, just rolled it out to get an idea what it looked like. Stand back a little bit and make sure that I'm not creating a monster, and just go from there. I've got a lot of stuff coming, got the parts for my exhaust coming the way I want to do it. And I've done this on a Plymouth a long time ago, a 36 Plymouth. I built the same style headers for it, but what I want to do is come down from here with a piece of 2.5 and then 90 it back, and then come back just a little ways, put a glass pack, and then I put a stainless tip the same size as the glass pack on it, and with a turnout, and that makes it look sort of, almost dropped the camera, makes it look sort of like a side pipe, and they don't look too bad, and then it'll sound good like that. I wanted glass packs on that engine just because of the sound of them. So anyway, we're moving along with it. I'm just gonna get my mess cleaned up over there, and you can see where I done the headers and everything else. I just got stuff laying everywhere. Of course, it rained last night too. Now I had the car covered really well, so we didn't get the car wet, and just the ground under it where the water ran. So we're going to get it cleaned up, swept up, and all that good stuff, and then I'm going to roll this thing back up there, and we're going to go back to work on it. All right. Okay, folks, cleaned up a little bit. I figured it was time to maybe try to work on the seat some. Try to get the ends on it, get it ready to cover, because I'm going to need the seat to be able to set up the steering wheel and all that stuff, get the pedals exactly where I want them. So I think that's what I'm going to work on now. Shorten these ends up and put them back on. That way it'll curve around. I'm hoping I can fit it in with the spring. I think I can. We can run that last lowest row of springs on here, bring them up next to them. We'll get everything welded up and we'll try it out and see how it does. Okay, I think that'll work. We'll do a little overlapping and a little button, and we'll do some welding and try to get her all back together, and then we'll get our springs connected between. We'll see how she turns out. I'm trying to stay at 40 inches, and I know this is getting over it. So we're going to try to tuck this in that way as far as we can here. And it'll be kind of tough because we're going to be touching springs here before long. So we'll get it. Okay, so it's not going to work with this extension. I measured it. We're already at 42, and I am absolutely limited on 40. So I'm going to take all these springs off, and I'm going to just move our round piece and our base in as close as we can get it, and hopefully be able to spring this to here or clamp it to it like they got it. I'd rather clamp it to it, but I don't know. I think we can do that. Yeah, I believe that's what we'll do. If we have to, we might can hog ring it. We'll figure it out as we go, but we're going to, that's what we're going to try to do. Let's get this cleaned off, and we still may overlap some underneath, but I think that's what we're going to do is get these springs off. We'll go from there. I might can reuse these if I can get them open. Them hog rings, pliers, or you know, anything really would probably clamp them back. So let me see if I can bite some of these off of there. Okay, the easiest way I found to get these off, instead of trying to just go in and bend them, is just try to sneak in the back side of them and just keep prying, and they pop right off, and that way I can reuse them. Seems to work pretty good. Oh yeah, that'll work. Okay, here's what we're going to end up with. We just got the frame off. We'll put it in where we want. We'll probably take this one out, weld it in. That'll bring us out to our 40, which is where I cut it. And then we'll just bring this spring over and clamp it to it. And it's not going to hurt them to stretch out just a little bit. We'll be able to clamp them all on there. So that's going to work out fine. And I can clamp this down and just come through here and cut it and then weld along the edge of it. Now this is probably spring steel, but so far everything I've welded, nothing's given any trouble. But if you overlap it and get more weld on it, it's less chance that if you butt it up. So I think that'll work fine. Get it all welded together, and then we got, of course, the bottom to do. Got to make sure that this is going to work for me too. I can bring it in and shorten it up if I need to. You get all this old crap out of it. Yeah, I may have to change the bottom up just a little bit up there, but no problem. We will make it work. Okay, I figured I'd better set it in here and take a look at what I got before I went too far. And this is fine. This is perfect. Time I cover it and everything, this will work out just fine. The problem is I've measured between the floor down here, and we've only got 38.5 inches. Now up here we've got a little bit more room, but down here we've got to make sure that we don't go over that. That's where it sits on the floor. So we may have to do a little finagling there, and I've got to figure out how I'm going to do my front. I don't want this front just to be a full long piece. This is more like the block that I made. You know, when I made that sheet metal around the 5 window to raise this seat up. It's basically the same thing, except it's already on the seat. So we're going to cover all the way down, but we need to do that bottom a little different than the top. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do, because I'm going to pleat the top just like I did on the 31.5 window. We'll run pleats all the way across, but I'm not sure how I want to do it. There's got to be a transition here somewhere, you know, because this is going to be smooth, this will be pleated, so we've got to run something in the bottom here, whether we repleat a short piece and sew it in, or how we do it. Either way, it's, you know, I want to make it look something different than just a plain straight piece. So we'll figure that out as we go. Anyway, I got to get, this is going to be no problem here. It's going to be more of a problem down here. But we'll get it and try to get our curve around like we need it, and then we'll do the other side. Okay folks, we've finished this end up. This is exactly what I needed and how I needed it. I had to do a little work here because there's a cross member running through, and then I wanted to do it, or I had to do this piece because that's where the floor is, the plate. So it's going to be sitting on the back all the way across. But that is exactly what I need, except I need to do the other side. And one more place I need to weld there, I just noticed. But anyway, you know, it's going to work just fine like it is. It strengthened it up, you know, a lot. So it's not nearly as springy on the edge as what it was, because it was a little bit rough the way it was. But that's going to work just fine. And you know, it's all going to be up to me covering it. I'm going to try to get this other end done so I can start covering tonight. And I don't know how much covering I'll get done, but I'd like to get this done, like I said, so I can get everything else set to, you know, right, to drive it decent, drive it the way I like it. So, all right, let me get this one spot welded I just noticed, and then we're going to go to work. Okay, this has definitely been one of the tougher ones for me. I've still got to get an inch off that front edge from there to the other side. But we've just about got it. I'm going to slice it again, bring it in a ½ inch on each side, maybe just a little over. And once we get it fit down in, I think that's going to be it. This one's a little bit more custom fit than the other ones were. So we will get it. It's just going to take a little bit of time here. And I may run a new rod below this one, because this is where it's going to sit at. So we might run something there. Then again, we might not, because it didn't have anything there to start with. It was only resting in two places, one here, one on the other side. We're going to be resting all the way across, so it's probably going to be okay. But anyway, we're going to keep working at it until we can fit it in there. We're close. All right, she fits pretty good, all the way down, just like I want. And what I plan to do is I'm going to build a back, but I'm going to wrap it all the way around and bring it out right here where this comes in at. That's about where my back here is going to stop, and I'm just going to wrap the whole back all the way around on it. And I don't know how to look, but that's how we're going to do it. And maybe make it thicker in the center here than I do on the outsides. But either way, that's how we're going to do it. And you know, all this is new to me on some of this stuff anyway. So well, that's that. And I'm going to go ahead and try to start maybe doing a little bit tonight. I don't think I've got any brown thread, so I may have to run and pick up some thread. Walmart actually has upholstery thread, which is good thread, but it's just kind of pricey, but pricier than getting it off the internet. But anyway, that's going to work. We're rounded at the front on both sides. All our welds are down to where we know nothing's going to cut. Now this top piece that goes on is a nice heavy thick piece, and that'll keep anything from coming up through our foam or our upholstery. I've got some different style foam I'll show you that I'm going to try on this one, but I think that'll work. Do a little bit of spring work here to make sure that all these springs are good. Anyway, I like it. All right, folks, in the upholstery room, ready to start covering this thing. We're actually going to do the padding first on it, and then I'm going to have to get some threads, so we'll probably end it after that. But I want to go ahead and show you this part, and then I'll show you as we cover it. Okay, here's what I use, and I'm not sure what it is, but it's like a, I don't know, it could be an automotive style carpet backing or something like that, but it's tough as nails. You can't pull a hog ring through it, and so far it's held up really well for everything I've done. So that's what I use in place of the burlap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around it. I've laid it out, and then I've flipped the seat upside down, and I'm going to cut about 2 inches around. And when you fasten this stuff, you use hog rings, but you do it a little different than what you would think you do. And I actually learned this from watching a guy do a Model T or Model A style seat, and he was using the factory stuff, which was a burlap and, you know, the foam and stuff. The foam I'm going to use is right, here's the red I got left over from the 31, is right here. This is a different than what I'm used to using. I usually use you know, the foam like out of couch cushions and stuff, but well, like this foam. But this foam here, this was on some cushions that somebody had given my wife. These are cushions that are made for like outdoor furniture, and she just cut all the covers off and we threw them away and kept this stuff. And the reason I done it is because foam is just so expensive, and this stuff feels really nice. I don't know what it's made out of, but I've taken some feature parts that had stuff like that in them anyway. So, but we'll get it even and stuffed and everything, and then we'll just use that. So, all right, let me get at it. I'll show you what how I do this. Okay, so we got it cut around it like I want, and now we're going to flip it back over, and we'll put this stuff on from the top side. Okay, so I'm going to try to show you how I do this, or how I learned to do it. I'm going to see how this works out with one hand. So anyway, basically what you do is you take your overlap and you fold it up, and then you catch it with you try to catch both of them with your hog ring, just like this, and then you push in really well to get around the piece, and then squeeze it. And that one's not on all the way, but we'll cut it back off and do a different one, but can't push it hard enough. This is pretty thick material. So anyway, that's what you do all the way around it. And even though you got this lip sticking up, if it gets kind of weird around the corners and stuff, I'll trim it. But basically that's all you do, and I'll show you what the finished product looks like in a second. Alright, she's on there as tight as I can get it, which is fine. It don't, it's not that, it don't have to be stretched perfect tight, because I mean it's going to give a little bit anyway. that makes a world of difference on when you sit on this seat. Now I could probably do my measurements and everything just like this, but I want to go ahead and cover this. I'll show you what we used to cover it. Okay, we got this brown Naga. I went to the Naga farm today and they picked me out some brown ones, and we threw rocks at them until they couldn't move no more, and skin them out. So here's what we got, and I bought 5 yards. I'm hoping that'll be enough. If not, I can get more. So anyway, this is what we're going to try to use. This is just regular Naga hide. Got a little texture to it, but it's what we've got. It's what we're going to use. So anyway, I'll show you tomorrow. We'll start sewing this up, and or maybe on the next video. But we'll start sewing this thing up, and then we'll start trying to get this seat covered, and I'll take you along even though I don't know what I'm doing. All right, appreciate everybody watching. Till next time, bye.